So, hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra Kaye, and I am sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Sadiq, also known as the Black Yule Brenner. And I should say that we are not live. This is our podcast, but we'll be back live later at 5 p.m. Central Time to have a great conversation with you all. But the purpose of the Demetra K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people with the emphasis on even because we're great people, but we can always strive to do better. I'd also like to say the purpose of this show is to educate and think about things from a different point of view opposed to what we're being told to think about. We like to do a little bit of deep dive analysis around here, and sometimes we don't, but today that's what we're going to try to do. I want to say right off the top is not for gossiping purposes or anything like that, and I do want to say all of this, not all of it, some of it has been proven, but a lot of it allegedly, because there's a lot of people can say what they want on the internet. But anyway, we're going to spend some time talking about the situation of Rickey Smiley. He not too long ago disclosed that he has twin girls. And I guess he found out last year sometime that he indeed is the biological father of twin girls. I think they're 5, 6, or something like that. Um, but there's been another side of it because we've seen a lot of people celebrate Ricky. Oh gosh, yes, it's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But there's a guy by the name of Nehemiah that's come out to say, wait a minute, not so fast. There are other victims in here. While people are celebrating, there's people who have actually been harmed by that. And so I'm going to get into that and I'll actually show you guys the video from that. So, Donovan.
Yes, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good to see you guys. Great to be with you. This is our podcast, so don't get too excited. We can't see the comments and stuff like that. But before we get into it, if you guys want to continue to have these great conversations, there's a way you guys can donate. We have a scrolling banner at the very bottom there. It says please donate. You can do Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, money order, however you guys want to do to keep these great conversations going and have us start to think logically and commonsensically to what is going on around us in the world today. Also, don't forget to download the African Diaspora News Channel app, either on Google Play, Apple Store. Also, a good thing this year that I've been pushing very, very heavily. Gifts are very expensive. There's a lot of gifts out there that are very expensive, but there's no more better spent money than education. Than an education. Once you get the education, it can never be taken away from you. So if you guys would like, consider buying memberships and subscriptions to the African Diaspora News Channel app, Demetra K Show, my show, Donovan Sadiq Show as well. You guys can do that. It's a great gift to give to people. A lot of people out here are too busy living their lives and doing what they need to do, and they're not paying attention to what's going on. And that is a great way to tune them into what is happening in the African diaspora, the Demetra K Show, the United States, so on and so forth. So subscriptions and memberships, African Diaspora News Channel app, Demetra K Show. Tune in.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get into it again. This is about Rickey Smiley, who not too long ago, I guess he went on some podcasts, and he also has said it a plethora of times on his own social media that, again, he did find out he is the biological father of two twin girls. I believe they're 5 years old. Now, of course, you guys know that Rickey Smiley not too long ago lost one of his sons, Brandon. I don't know how, but nevertheless, he lost a son. So he was grieving terribly, as one would after they've lost a child, right? And so he says, basically, when all was dark and gloomy, this news came about that he is indeed a father. Now, it sounds like he said it was his ex. And obviously, they got together one time, right? And he didn't know from what he was saying that he was the father. And then somehow, I don't know, it came about that he needed to take a DNA test. And then it came out that those girls were indeed his daughters. So again, as I said, he's gone about saying, "Oh, God has blessed me. This is a great thing," and all this other stuff. He'll give you double for your trouble because he's got twins, right? So play on words, double for your trouble. But then there's a guy, and I want to say allegedly on all of this, but he has come out and said, "I am the guy who thought that I was the father." And he's going to explain his story, and then we'll get into that. I'm also going to read a snippet of what the mother, Alicia, said. So here we go.
watching that video was so disgusting. It's wicked. And it triggered me, man. Like, I'll never get over that situation. For 5 years, man, they knew. For 5 years. The mama in on it. The grandma in on it. And the real victims are those twin girls and her oldest daughter. And he been calling her his daughter too, man. It's so crazy, man. But they don't understand. Man, that situation killed me, man. It destroyed me. It destroyed everything I had going on. Mentally, I was shot. And when I found out about them having this going on, that's when she started trying to pull the girls from me and trying to manipulate everybody and saying, oh, Nehemiah don't take care of his kids and all that like that. Her and the mama just trying to keep covering Nehemiah, you the dad, you the dad, you the dad. Them your girls, come take care of your girls. Having her dust at home girls, harassing me, and got her, even her brother just passed away, they died. And before he died, he was mad at me. He was mad at me thinking I was some hate. And that whole time, bro, I'm like, so I'm trying to be there, I'm trying to fight for my kids. And she just, I appreciate y'all for.
So that's a snippet of it. You know, he basically went on to say, y'all heard what he said. Sounds like he was being gaslit by the twins' mom. Sounds like maybe by the mom and then her deceased brother. And he says her dusty homegirls also had a lot to say about the situation. But the part, and again, I want to say also is alleged. The the part that I have a problem with is that he said they destroyed me. And I don't think people give that part of the conversation really, some time. Because while on one hand, people are celebrating when people, Ricky and I'm sure his family and everybody's finding out he's got these two, and they're very beautiful, by the way. I won't put them up because it's not my job to do that. But while he's celebrating, there's a man by the name of Nehemiah, who you guys just saw, who was like, what are we celebrating? I'm actually the victim here. I thought I was the father, of these girls. And I've been, put out there as though I'm a bad person, and I'm not. But he also took exception to Ricky saying, oh, God bless me and this, that, and the other. Now, this is what Alicia said, I guess in the comment section somewhere. So she says, to be rightfully honest, my twins' biological dad was the very first person informed that I was pregnant. No one had the joy of raising them as their dad. That was me, all me rather, for those 4 years. I tried to stay quiet, but don't speak on a situation unless you know the truth or have both sides. There's 3 sides to every story. Choose as you wish. And for the record, DNA confirmed the validity of the paternity and we co-parent wonderfully. Now, again, she's right. There's 3 sides. There's her side, his side, and probably 4 at this point, Ricky's side, Nehemiah's side, and then there's the truth. And I want to say this right off the top. None of it is really our business, but I want to have the conversation from the point of view of, this guy, Nehemiah, is not just him. There's a lot of people, men, that are often in his situation that they're led to believe that she's saying he wasn't. She's saying they always knew he was the first one. I guess Ricky, being the biological dad, knew. But he's saying that Nehemiah, that, he was led to believe, guess, that he was the father. And it turns out he wasn't. And he's saying that it sounds like Ricky and Alicia knew all along, stringing them along. Even the oldest daughter calls Ricky dad or whatever the case is. But in a longer version of Nehemiah's video, he also lamented about the oldest girl because he says, basically, is this going to shape her to be, doing the same thing? He says not right, that she has to go through that. So I'm not sure as much how much she knew of Nehemiah. It sounds like he spent a lot of time with her because he, spoke a lot about her and concern. So I just want to have that conversation. Why doesn't the other, let's say, alleged victim, which is Nehemiah, get the conversation it deserves? Donovan?
This is a conversation that needed some suspense, because that's all this is. It's about a bunch of drama and suspense. I'm gonna have to push back on you a little bit when you said that it's none of our business. It is our business when they bring it to the public. It is our business once it comes public. I mean, the depths of it probably isn't our business, but It is our business to comment, be concerned about it or whatever. So I'm gonna push back on you a little bit about that. But let's get to the facts here. The facts is 1/3 of all births in the United States, the father is not the father. A lot of fathers' rights groups have been pushing to have mandatory, and women have been pushing to have mandatory DNA in the United States. But feminist groups are fighting tooth and nail against that. And these simp men in Congress and in these different government bodies uh, don't want to do it as well because they're married or their situation, they don't care. But 1/3 of all births in the United States, the father is not the father. And that's a high number. That is a high number. That means 1 out of every 3 men that are accused to be the father is not the father. That's a very big problem. Number one, we have a mantra where women say, oh, all men cheat, all men cheat. I think that's a bunch of BS because damn sure men are perfect. Okay, no, not in that aspect. But with 1/3 of all births in the United States, the father not being the father, that just tells me all people cheat. All people cheat, be it man, be it woman. So we need to throw that, that mantra of just like men are the problem. Obviously, women are having issues as well, and they bear the proof of the cheating. And we know women do it very, very well. So again, but now it's coming out that's the situation. Now, a few things with this. Rickey Smiley is going on a campaign, as we know, and I'm speaking for myself, not for Demetra, I'm speaking for myself. Rickey Smiley is a man that, in my opinion, is full of crap. He is not a man to be taken seriously. He has no ethics and no scruples, as we saw in this last campaign, again, for the second time, supporting Kamala, spewing lies and stuff, but he puts himself out there as this benevolent Christian man, fraternity, this, that. And I ask Demetra all the time, what is going on with these fraternities and sororities where they're getting caught up in scandals, lies, and wickedness, outright wickedness, and against their own people. So he is somebody that I just couldn't look to be credible. Rickey Smiley is not a credible person, in my opinion. Number one, he's doing a campaign right now to, and he's invoking, I'm talking about scumbag. You're invoking your dead son to get sympathy in this situation. And I think that's pretty, well, God bless me. At the time of my son died, I found you miraculously found out that you have twin daughters at the time that your son died. What a scumbag to bring your dead son into this situation. I'm going to speak from a man's perspective because I am one. Rickey Smiley wants you to think, and he's invoking his son to get you emotional. He wants you to think he had no clue he had twin daughters out there. Well, every man knows that when you lay down with a woman, regardless of how you lay down with her, there's a possibility of a pregnancy. So you mean to tell me, using my common sense and my logic, this woman that you slept with, because you're a Christian man, by the way, cross-dressing Christian man, you had no clue when she came up pregnant to question this woman and say, hey, by the way, sweetheart, we were kicking it back then. Are you sure those ain't my kids? You sure? You absolutely positive? Because you're a Christian man, because what a forthright and stand-up man would do, as you proclaim yourself to be, Mr. Smiley, you would go and investigate and get the DNA test then. But just like the mother has said, she told the biological father. So you, Mr. Smiley, was involved in a conspiracy to deceive the other guy. And then, Mr. Christian Smiley, you knew this side chick that's been your personal hoe since she was 17, allegedly. She had a dude, and you still slept with her, knowing she had a dude, breaking the bro code, of course. But that's your hoe, allegedly. And you had no problem letting that man think that those children were his. when there could have been a possibility. It could have been yours. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to bring God into this and all this other stuff, and you didn't know you were sleeping with this woman? You had no clue? I don't buy it. I think he's a POS, and I'm going to stand on that because he's using all the videos. Oh, look what a great father. Like I said, I'm not saying he's not a great father. He might be a great father, but as a man, he's a POS.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Do you believe all women?
Yes. No, I don't. I don't believe all women.
So maybe it's possible. I don't know. And I wasn't there for any of this. Maybe it's possible Rickey didn't know, even though maybe she did know, or maybe she's just saying he knew. Because either I'm one of those people, I like to do deductive reasoning. Either Nehemiah is a flat out stone cold liar. He's just lying about it all. Or Rickey really didn't know until he knew, because he said the girls would come over for parties and stuff like that, whatever the case is. Or maybe Alicia's not telling the truth. Now, the other thing I think we don't need to take into account is usually when paternity is an issue, it's because that particular woman, not just saying her, but in general, that woman is sleeping with more than one man, right? If there is doubt, and I want to say this too, that's not always the case, because a lot of women who have not slept with anybody but the one particular dude, oftentimes that guy's like, I know it's mine, right? But in this case, it sounds like they're, was pretty close to her, maybe laying down with two people. I don't know. I'm just gonna put that out there. So maybe she deceived them both to some degree, right? And I want to say this is not really our business as far as what they're doing, how they're doing it. Yes, that is in the public eye or whatever the case is. And I say it's not our business because, I don't take care of Rickey. I'm not taking care of those girls or any of that other stuff. And you know what? Honestly, I don't even really have a dog in the fight as to who knew what, when, whatever the case is. But if Nehemiah is telling the truth, I think that's where the conversation should be. I don't think it should be whether she's a hoe, and I don't want to call her that, but or whether Rickey, what he knew or didn't know, and godly. Listen, I don't care what somebody says. I don't believe the pastor. And he's supposed to be the most godliest man in the church, on the boulevard, the block, the city, whatever. He got 11 kids and all the mothers board, and they know something about what's under his robe. So I say all that to say, because a person talk about, I worship God and I'm of God, what that mean to me? The devil has said, uttered the name of God a plethora of times. That don't mean that he worships God. Clearly he don't, right? He got kicked out. But nevertheless, and him being in the frat, what does that also mean? What does that mean that he's in the frat? They lie too. Frat brothers, hell, when we was in the DR, we saw a whole lot of them with some women sitting on their laps. And I can imagine a lot of them, because they were some seasoned brothers, probably had a wife or a woman that thinks that she's his somewhere. A whole frat, fraternity was there. So that don't mean nothing to me either. But what I do know is women, I say this, believe all women lie sometimes. Because they, you know what I'm saying? To me, that always didn't make any sense. Oh, believe all women do what? What do we, listen, this is coming from a woman who's all woman, okay? I don't believe all, right? I don't believe all women, so I think it's nonsense, just this DOA, right? But it's possible that she's being deceptive. Maybe, I don't know. She was with Nehemiah, and then we don't know. Like she said, there's 3, potentially 4 sides to the story, but it's possible that Rickey didn't know, and it's possible the guy believed that he was the father, because she says the biological father knew. Okay, let's just move Rickey out the way. If that's true, did she tell Nehemiah that, I let the biological father know that he's the father of these kids, but it ain't you? See what I'm saying? So somewhere in there, somebody was deceived. The question is who? But then I want to get back to if Nehemiah is telling the truth, him being and like you said to the girls, because if they thought he was their dad and now they're learning that he's not, he's a victim, and those kids are the victims.
Getting deeper. Okay, Demetra, I agree with your points, whatever, but again, you're coming from a woman's perspective. I'm going to come from a man's perspective, especially if a man that has something to lose. Okay. I've been dealing with this woman, allegedly, Rickey Smiley's been dealing with this woman for 17 years, right? He knows her ins and outs, literally, and so on, so forth, right? Now, a man that has something to lose and a man that's worth his weight as a man wants to know if he has children out there. He's a responsible man. So you mean, so it, Rickey Smiley doesn't come off to me as somebody who just don't give a damn if he has kids out there and he's just making them. He doesn't seem like he comes off like that. Okay. Obviously, and let's just use our deductive reasoning. If I slept with a woman 5 years ago and let's say I hadn't seen her, and let's say I hadn't seen her in 5 years, and she comes up with two daughters, I'm going to ask the question, hey, what's going on? What's happening? Remember when we got together? Are you sure those ain't my kids? I'm going to ask those questions, right? I'm going to ask them. But in Rickey Smiley's situation, he's been playing daddy this whole time. He's been involved in these people's lives. So you mean to tell me when these young girls were coming over to his home to play with his grandchildren, he never once questioned the fact of, wow, that's kind of strange. Wow, these kids kind of look similar to me. I know the father looks like me and we look alike, but let me just ask the question, just to put it out there. Matter of fact, sweetheart, look, not that I don't trust you, but let's just take a DNA test. That way everybody knows where everybody stands, right? It ain't like he can't afford a DNA test. Men of means do not think, they don't think like that. We think of legacy and all that other stuff. Unless you're a complete POS and a dirtbag. I mean, for you to sit there and be blinded and whatever. And then we need to question this, Demetra. Why is all this coming out now? Why is it all coming out now? All of a sudden, for 5 years, they've been handling it without the public's knowledge, whatever. Why is it coming out all of a sudden now? Is it because this woman might be going after back child support and it's going to be in the public record and Rickey Smiley's trying to get ahead of it? Is that what this is about? I mean, for 5 years, these little girls are 5 years old. So this deception has been going on for 5 years. Why now is it coming out and he's trying to put a spin, this godly thing on it? Oh, God, bless me at the time of my son's death with these 2 twin girls. Believe the way you want to believe. I just don't believe God operates in wrong. If you're doing wrong, that had nothing to do with God when you were doing that. That's my opinion on that. But why? The question we need to ask is, why is this coming out now? What is the end game to all of this?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he really did just find out. And maybe when people see him with 2 extra children, they're going to be like, Rickey, who them? And he'd have to explain that. So that could be why. But as far as a woman's perspective, it has nothing to do with gender. As far as I'm concerned, it's logic, because the truth of the matter is here in this moment, we don't know what happened because we weren't there for any of it, But back to what I was saying about Nehemiah, and the other thing with Rickey, and listen, I got my problems with Rickey, more so politically. I don't like a lot of the, nonsense and foolishness that he had going on during political season, when we, especially in the new black media, was just really trying to get the word out about we should have something instead of giving our vote for nothing,
Block his ass. Block his ass.
Yeah, well, I don't have, and I want to say this too. Any and everything that I say about anybody on a professional or political level, it's just that. I don't have anything personal against anybody because I don't know Rickey personally. It's like I've always said about Kamala. I don't know Kamala personally, so how would I have I don't have even the information to know if I like them as a person or not. But also with Rickey, how would he know what he did, if she didn't tell him? You know what I mean? I guess that's kind of where I'm going with it. But back to Nehemiah. Go ahead. Did you want to go say something?
But didn't she say she told the biological father and they co-parent? They've been co-parenting correctly. I mean, that's her statement.
That, but what did Rickey say? I heard him say, it sounds like, but I don't know if he didn't say he didn't know, but I heard him say that there was a bias, because he was saying all this time, these girls been coming over my house, coming to parties, my grandson's parties, Grace's party and stuff. And, because me and the mom are close. I'm paraphrasing what he's saying. And, it come to find out is what he said. For lack of better words, I am the father. We took a DNA test. So I'm just telling you what I heard. But sounds like he didn't know until he knew last year. She's saying that he did know. So it's like somewhere in there, somebody lying, or somebody's telling the truth. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to say this. Rickey Smiley is not a credible person to me. He hasn't shown any credibility politically in his decisions and blocking people's asses and all the way he talks, whatever. That's my personal opinion. But what we do know is this. And when I say I'm speaking from a man's perspective, because you're a woman, you don't necessarily think like men do. That's what I mean by that. Not saying what common sense is.
It ain't got nothing to do with no logic.
No. This doesn't have to do with logic. This doesn't have to do with logic.
Why not? Why not?
Because, like I said, men think different. Like I said, men are in a good example. Is it logical for men that want to mate with all these women? No, it's not logical.
That's apples and oranges.
Wait. But it's not logical because we're programmed to do that, right? That's how we're programmed.
Demetra Kaye, I tell you when I'm thinking like a woman. I always preface it by saying because I'm a woman. I know, been a woman 53 years. I always say that. But
well, I'm a preference is thinking like a man. Okay, because I am a man.
Right, for you. But
There's no way in hell. And fellas, if you guys see this, put this in the chat. How many of you are going to let your ex, that is your side chick, right? You supposedly you don't have
because how do we know that's a side chick?
Well, it's alleged. That's why I said alleged.
Right, there we go.
Yeah. Whatever this woman is, right? Bring her children to your home for 5 years to be with your grandchildren and stuff like that. Yet, I don't know what relationship. How many of you guys have your ex-girlfriends come over to your crib that you don't have a relationship with anymore and be chilling over there with her children? It doesn't happen, Demetra, because men don't do that.
It happens all the time. What are you talking about? It happens all the time.
I would have to disagree with you.
It happens all the time. My daughter's father and I were very cordial. Went to parties. Hell, I even went to his wedding reception. So that's not unusual that your ex will bring the kids over. I got a grandson the same age. You bring your kids over and they party or whatever. That's not unusual.
No, it's not unusual. But what I'm saying is, in this situation where the paternity is whatever it is, so on and so forth, and you're going over there all the time, alleging to what he said in his interview, whatever, they come over all the time, whatever the deal is. What father is going to allow, like I said, I understand certain things, and I agree with you, certain things, but she's over there all the time?
Well, he said the parties and stuff, so I don't know about what all the time means.
Even as a man, I don't want to be around my wife or girlfriend's ex-husband. I don't want to be around him like that.
Well, that's you, but that don't mean because you don't want to do that. That is not being done. That does not mean it's not being done. No, it's not. There's a lot of men. There's a lot. Wait, hold on. Let me speak. There's a lot of men and women who are cordial and they can be in the same room without, the venom or whatever the case is. Yeah, we used to have a thing, whatever the case is, but we cool. Yeah, bring the kids over, whatever the case is. So a lot of people know how to operate on that realm. And I'm just speaking, from logic, not from, because I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't know none of them. A lot of people can operate from that realm because they are mature. They're not, they can do that because they don't have why you here? You trying to do something with my woman, this, that, and I'm not saying none of that happened, but I'm saying when you're an adult and you know how to co-parent and you are not even co-parent, but just being a cordial with people like your ex or whatever, then you don't even think about stuff like that. And I'm speaking from experience.
Yeah, and again, I'm not talking about the woman. He can have the woman. We're talking about my children. I love Michael Jackson to death, but I wouldn't leave my kids with him.
So do you think the father knew the father who thought was the father? Do you think he knew that the kids was going to Rickey Smiley's for birthday parties?
I don't know. I
Wait.
Honestly, Probably.
Yeah,
I think he would have known that.
yeah. So I failed to believe he was oblivious that she was sneaking in the cover of night, taking the kids over, to birthday parties and stuff. I doubt that he didn't know.
Yeah, I'm just saying from a man's perspective, I don't want my children exposed to a man that's not their father. That's just I don't know any man that says, "Oh yeah, go over there all the time and hang out, but you can't hang out with me." Just
Well, I
doesn't
mean,
make sense.
I, well, if he's saying that he was being robbed of fatherhood, I mean, sounds like again, she is a common denominator. She may be the issue. I'm just saying. All I'm saying is this: I don't really know all that happened, and we'll probably never know because it's not really our business. But as I said, as far as Nehemiah and potentially those girls, if they thought he was the father, those are the victims. Because I think when people, and I'm gonna say if this is all true, people hear the news that, oh, I'm the father, this, that, and the other. Because we often hear about when men are like, oh, I'm not the father. Oh, thank God I'm not the dad. But then in this, we don't hear about the fathers who's like, well, I thought I was the dad. I thought I was the dad for all these years or even months or whatever, and I'm not. That's like he said, that can destroy you. If I'm thinking I am and I, obviously not a man, but if I was thinking I was the father, then I'm hearing that I'm not. We've all seen a couple of more episodes where the guy thought he was the dad and he's devastated. Like, I've been raising this child for 5, 10, 15 years, whatever the case is, and I'm learning I'm not the dad. That is devastating. So that's the conversation where I think where it needs to go. Yeah, it's great. Rickey is hearing that he's got these kids and he's celebrating. But if this guy is telling the truth, what about him? What about the void, not only of one child, but potentially 2 children being ripped from his life? Because like he said, toward the end, I guess near, I guess Rickey's announcement, he says that the mom sounded like she was kind of moving sideways with him or whatever the case is. So in his mind, it's like, it's an epiphany. It all makes sense now as to why I was getting treated the way I was getting treated. But that's where the conversation needs to be, because there are real victims when that stuff happens. Those people a lot of times never recover. They never recover. It's almost like an instant death, right? Your loved one goes out the house. Hey, I'll see you later tonight. We're gonna eat dinner together, and then you get that phone call. Yeah, they not. They were killed in an accident. That's kind of the equivalent of that. This reality that I knew to be mine, these children I knew to be mine, all of a sudden they're not. And that doesn't just say, oh, well, I'm just going to go have some cake and ice cream in the V8 and call it a day.
And that's usually how the biological mother deals with the situation, because I'm a victim of with that alienation of affection of a child. And we all know somebody who's gone through some kind of horrific paternity issue in regards to, again, the statistics are proven and it's undisputed. A third of all births in the United States, the father is not the father. So what is going on in our country to where people are making very, very bad decisions when it comes to their sexual adventures? They're not taking care of themselves. I was talking to my mom yesterday, and we were talking about some things, and my mother, being an older woman, she's saying she doesn't understand how these young girls are getting pregnant with unwanted pregnancies when you have all of these things. We know, certain things, of course, not everything's foolproof, but in general, the numbers don't add up to what it is today when there's so many ways to prevent it. And again, it's not looking good, especially in our community. And then, with the way I look at it, I look at our community in the churches, in the leadership, in the Black community. I mean, nobody's an angel. I get that. Nobody's an angel. But at the same time, when they put themselves out there in an aspect of holier than thou or whatever, I'm in a fraternity, I'm in this something, it's like they're just dragging these institutions of things that you would want to strive to be or do down to the damn pits of hell. I don't know what you want to call it, but it just gives everything a black eye, in my opinion. And I just don't see where you can really turn and say, oh yeah, look at this as a great role model. Look at this as a great role model. I mean, I used to, at one time when I was younger, Demetra, I used to think, wow, an HBCU is something, really to be proud, to strive uh, to be in. And now you look at it, fast forward 30 years later, my opinion is totally different from what I'm seeing of the product that's being delivered on out into the public.
Well, for one thing, in regards to HBCUs, everybody at HBCUs do not operate that way, whatever that way is. There's a lot of good, upstanding people who have gone to HBCUs and done great things and do not do anything that is immoral, right? So I don't want to charge that to HBCU standards because they doing the same stuff at Princeton. They doing the same stuff at Yale or wherever the white people doing it. Hell, they doing it even more. You know what I
But
mean?
does that make it right though, that other
No,
groups
let
are
me
doing
finish.
it?
Well,
Yeah.
it don't matter if it makes it right or not, because as I always say, I don't look up to none of them people as no role model. And as I always say too, if my daughter looking outside of me as for any other source of inspiration as a role model, and I'm the failure. I'm the one that she need to be looking up to, not nobody else outside of me. I am the role model because I set the tone, I set the expectations, and everything else she need. And as I always say, we talk about Megan, Red, Sexy Red, and all that. They not my daughter role model. Do she listen to them? Yeah, but she not like I'm trying to be like them. I've raised her to be a critical thinker, have knowledge of self. See that I did that, right? So I take the pat on the back for that. And I'm the same way. I'm one of those people. I never buckled to peer pressure. I don't care what nobody else is doing over here, there, and everywhere. I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I ain't gonna do that if I don't want to do it, right? So we got to stop hanging our hat and expectations and hopes on what everybody else is doing. They doing immoral to hell. The world, America is Babylon. They call it America Babylon. So there's filth and all kind of stuff everywhere. As far as these, 1/3 of every birth is not the man is not the biological father. That happens because you said your mom wondered how that happens because people are having irresponsible fun. People forget that sex that is to procreate. That's the number one job. It's procreation. As I always say, we as humans made it everything else, hanging off the chandeliers and all kind of stuff, y'all, whatever y'all doing, right? And then you get a oops, oh, I'm late, or whatever the case is. And then people want to freak out. I was like, nah, you should have been freaking out before you turned into a freak. You should have been saying, as I say, men, especially because y'all don't want to lament about a lot of child support. For one, before I swing, boom Quisha from the chandeliers, do I want to spend 18 to 22 years with her? Or do I want to marry her? If you say no to one of those questions, I say 18 to 22 years, I mean child support, because it's more than likely going to be you to pay the child support. If you say no to any one of those questions, then get your black ass up. Zip your pants up, get your car keys, or she at your house, hey, I'm gonna send you an Uber, whatever, and don't do the do. You know what I mean? But people are having irresponsible fun, and then when the responsibility come, everybody want to play stupid or get mad and start pointing the finger. But that's how, and the other thing too is, because I hear that statistic in regards to, every 1/3 of births, the father's not the father, as to put that on the woman. But we're not having the conversation that in a lot of those situations, that man knew she was doing a tango with somebody else, and he didn't care. He was like, let me get it. Can I cut in? So now there's an issue of who the daddy is, right? So it's just immoral on everybody's behalf. And again, if the guy didn't know, we're gonna leave him out, because a lot of times the guy don't know that she is a potential Maury candidate. You know what I mean? So there's a lot going on there.
Right. Well, the only reason I keep bringing out the 1/3 thing is that should be enough statistical proof that we need mandatory DNA testing for both men and women, and to cut out all of this BS stuff, because a lot of people don't know what the statistic is. You got some women out here that think, oh, they're just a one-off incident. You got some dudes that think they're just a one-off incident. No, it's a high rate of births being done in the United States where the father is not known. And again, I think, speaking as a victim of the child support system, it should be mandatory, because that child deserves to know who the father is, and the courts need a reprievement from all of this BS that is being brought to the courts when they should be dealing with established issues from the time the child got here that would cut out a lot of the BS. And that's why I constantly bring up 1/3. But again, you've got people fighting again. Oh no, he should just believe all, like you said, believe all women. No, I'm not saying, you're out. What's that old saying? Mama's baby, father's maybe. That's been a saying since way back in the day. I don't even know when it started. But again, that's the reason why we should have that, so that these issues are cleared up and people aren't destroyed and messed up, and things that are happening. Like I said, I have friends that they'll lose their mother, and then that person loses their mind, right? Oh, my mom is gone, and they get into drugs, or they could become alcoholics, or whatever the deal is, right? Just think of a father who thought this was his child. Financially, he's supporting the child, doing everything he's supposed to do, only to find out it's not his child, which is a mental, situation there, because now you're being ripped from that bond that you've created with that child, and you can't get your money back. We got to do better. That's all. We just have to do better as people, and make it have these common sense laws that make sense to what's happening today. Women are not being subjugated the way they were in the 1950s. We are in the 21st century.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with DNA testing. I think that DNA testing should happen even if you married, right? Just to make sure we know before we move forward and we can act accordingly, whatever. Because I know somebody right now who's going through the nonsense as far as the DNA, and it's a real, it's a lot. You know what I mean? Tyler Perry's pen that has nothing on the drama that I, am seeing unfold, right? But I also, and I always say, the best certainty is not to do it in the first place. Because see, the problem is, men, I'm gonna say this to y'all, I don't care if you get mad, I love you nevertheless. Y'all do a whole lot of bitching and whining, but you wasn't doing all that when you was on top of that woman. And you knew good and hell well you wasn't trying to marry Sassafras. You knew you wasn't trying to be with Boom Quisha, Aquanetta, La Sheree. You knew you wasn't trying to be with her, but yeah, whoever. You knew you wasn't, or Regina, or Tammy, or whoever. You knew you wasn't trying to be with her. You was having your little 2 minutes of fun, and your 2 little minutes of fun got you caught up, and now women need to pay. It's like you should have been thinking about that. See, because like I said to y'all, I went to dental assisting school, and one of the major things I learned a lot of things. I never worked a day in the field. I just was doing something, right? But one thing I learned from there is I was told, now when it was like 1993, 92, 93, the AIDS epidemic was still going on, right? And I was told, treat everybody as though they have AIDS. Treat it as a universal thing, like everybody has it, no matter how they look, how they talk, how they walk. It basically means you put all your PPP on, your PPE, you put your gloves, everything, right? You protect yourself. You don't just go off into somebody's mouth without your face shield. No, you pretend or you act as though they have it as well. So I say all that to say, y'all lay down with these women. Y'all only know what she tells you, because listen, a penny that's flipped the right side up looks shiny and new on the ground, right? Oh, that's a shiny penny. You pick that penny up and flip it over, it's rusty as hell, right? Now, had you picked that penny up and examined it, it looks good, but it's rusted. I'm sure it'll still spin. However, same thing I'm saying about this woman. Men, since y'all like to bitch and complain, pick her up, and not like that though, okay? That's the problem. And flip her around, examine this woman. Would I want to spend 18 to 22 years embroiled in something with her, financially, drama, or whatever? Would I marry this woman? And the answer is hell no, because most of the time, y'all don't even know that woman. Y'all don't know her from Glodadine up the street. Have no idea. All you know is she got a big giant booty. She thought, oh yes, I like that too. Oh yeah, I like to cook. I like to do all. I'm a good woman. And then you put your seed up in her, and then her head starts spinning around, and she turns into the exorcist. And you don't have no holy water strong enough to extinguish the evil that she's about to impact on her. But, and I gave this example to my nephew, my 15-year-old nephew, because we talk about relationships and stuff a lot. And he says, well, Tia, that's what he calls me. He says, a lot of times God will send you, certain people and things to teach you a lesson. I said, stop right there, nephew. I said, let's back it up. Because he goes to church and he reads the Bible. He thinks he does. He says, I says, what happened when Jesus and the devil were in the wilderness together? He says, they had a conversation. I said, what did the devil say to Jesus? He says, basically, if you worship me, I'll give you everything you want, because Jesus was in the wilderness 40 days and 40 nights, nothing to drink or eat or nothing like that. He was being tested. He was like, God, Father, why have you forsaken me? All this stuff other than the cross. And Jesus said to him, Satan, get thee behind me and never come before me again. And I said, did they ever have a conversation after that? He says, no, that was the only time they spoke. I said, so I say all that to you to say, if you pass the test, you will not have to learn the lesson, because you already learned it by passing the test. So the way, and I don't go to church, but I'm just using an example, way Jesus was able to verify that the devil was up to no good. Okay, I'm going to bow down to you and make you the king. Nah, I ain't finna be doing all that, man. That was the test he passed. See, a lot of times people fail the test. Now you got to learn a lesson. That lesson may be 18 years, 22 years of child support, sassafras taking you through here and there and everywhere, and digging all up in your pockets. You working and eating top ramen for 22 years because you're broke. That's what a lesson is. So sometimes you got to pass the test by observing and saying, because Donovan, I don't know, you might have been in the military then, but there was a commercial in California back in the day. It was a freeway insurance commercial. And the dude would be hitchhiking on the side of the road. And the pretty woman, she would pull up in this, convertible, and she's hot. And she's like, oh, I'll give you a ride. And he says, is it freeway insurance? She goes, well, no. He goes, well, then I can't take that ride.
I remember that. That was a good one.
He asked her one question. Is it the premium? Is it tip-top insurance? Not on that. I'll wait till somebody that's suitable comes along. So you get what I'm putting down, Donovan and you fellas, because I know y'all, oh, Donovan's right. Oh, yes. And this, that, I'm just saying. I know, listen, I know men. I know many men. Shout out to 50 Cent that's going through this and have gone through that. Donovan is one of them. And I never would side
and with I won.
Yeah, but I'm saying I would never side on agree with the side of anybody. But in this case, a woman that's doing that to a man. But I want to tell you this, and I want to say this to Nehemiah, the guy who thought he was the father. If you're saying what you're saying is true and they did that to you, just like Rickey said, God blessed him. Oh, God gonna pay him back double for what he did to you. Just like, oh, he can give you double for your trouble. Oh, you gonna get something double, sucker. It ain't gonna be what you want if indeed Nehemiah is telling the truth. See, God ain't sleep.
I agree with everything that you just said there. But at the same time, it's easy to say, men, we need to do this. And you're absolutely right. We need to do this. But I'm going to call out the women and their behavior. We walk around here in the modern age and we act like there ain't a blade running around in our neighborhood with young girls out there. I mean, I'm talking about these young girls that are 18, 19 years old that are on the blade, tattooed up, looking like typhoid Mary infections. They're tattooing their face, whatever. Nobody's correcting them. They're going down the same mistakes that Aunt Lulu and Cray Cray did, and nobody's correcting them. You know, the behavior of women to abuse men, who's correcting them about that? You know, I have a buddy that was like, well, if a man can't treat my daughter the way I treat her, I said, what, are you sleeping with your daughter? It would be a different dynamic the way a man would treat your daughter than the way you treat a fool. We got to start calling things out. We both on both sides need to do better, but we see how involved women get when it's their son going through the child support system or being falsely paternitied or whatever, or their nephew or somebody like this or their father, even in some cases, their fathers are being caught in paternity situations. Oh, that's unright. It's not fair, whatever the deal is. We need to start changing the behavior of both groups and being more responsible. I see there are more and more women in our community that have turned to sex work rather than working at the Albertsons.
A lot, and those sex workers got a lot of tricks out there too. Okay, tricks are for kids. So them sex workers ain't turning tricks by themselves. There's always somebody willing to pay, regardless of who it is.
What is that your dad said? They're all.
What?
He said, sex will always sell before corn and popcorn and food.
He says, well, a man can always get coochie before he can get food. Okay, and I would agree with that to some degree. But I'm about personal responsibility, and I've always told you guys I was caught up erroneously in the child support system myself twice. Okay. So I know it is like. So this ain't about me having somebody I know going through that and that. I went through it personally. I don't think it's right. I don't think you should be able to just go and say, this person is thing, and then they get, to put you erroneously in the system. I don't think that's right. But like I said, I fought tooth and nail that damn system, and they gave me everything but $50 back over a year, time span. And that one particular time, I only got one child. This is a long story. I've told it many times before. But my thing is this, as far as personal responsibility, I am going to make sure that I am unscathed as much as possible. I'm not going to put it on nobody else. Like if I look down in the lion's den and I see a lion there, and I'm like, wow, that lion look real nice. It looks friendly. I'm going to go down there and see how it's doing today. Then I get down there and he bite a chunk out of my ass. And I'm going to sit up there and blame the lion. The lion does or did what lions do. My dad told me this story from a long time ago. He says the scorpion and the frog. He says the scorpion asked the frog for a ride across the river. And the frog says, well, I
can't take that ride.
I would, Mr. Scorpion, but you're gonna bite me. Ribbit. And the scorpion says, oh, well, now why would I do that? If I bite you, then we're both going to drown. And the frog says, you know what? He's got a good point. So then the scorpion hops on the frog's back, and they're going across the river. And the scorpion, he bites the frog. And the frog says, he stings the frog. Oh, my God, you said you would. He says, duh, I'm a scorpion. And that's what scorpions do, right? So again, the frog, R.I.P. to him. You should have known better. Just like you men, stop believing big booty Belinda is a good woman. A matter of fact, Demetra ain't gonna do y'all one better. Treat her as though she is the most wicked woman until you got other proof to say she's not. Treat her as though she gonna dig in your bank account for nearly 22 years, because a lot of times they want you to pay for college too. Treat her as though every time you buy a piece of bubble gum, she gonna take you to court talking about he got some money to buy some bubble gum. He must got some more money, and she gonna modify and take you and dig in your pocket. Yes, treat her as though when it's your time to visit your child, to pick the child up, she gonna call the police. Oh, I'm not giving you that, man. Treat her like that until she verifies and proves to you she is not that way. It could all be so simple. I want to say this too about you men, because I hear a lot of you men say this. Oh, well, the father said, I want you to treat my daughter like I treat her. Yeah. And if you don't want to treat his daughter the way she's being used to being treated, especially if he treats her nice and with respect and he's able to provide a certain lifestyle for her, then go get the woman that don't have a daddy that has taught her some expectations. It's that simple. Don't try to get with these women and then demonize them, because my dad says the same thing. I wanted my daughter to be with my sister as well, a man that's going to be respectful and do A, B, C, and D. I don't know why men have a problem with that. Go get the woman that has a father, or that don't have a father, that don't have no expectations for them. Go get her. But don't try to bring that woman down. And I would admit there's some women out there who's got daddies and did the most, got some unrealistic expectations. I would concede that. But that ain't your woman. Go get the woman that's like, here's my ass to kick. or however you want to treat her. I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree but disagree with you because again, behavior is taught. Behavior is taught. In the case of this situation with Rickey Smiley and the mom and all that other stuff, the uh, the young man said, the one that was devastated, he said that the mother knew and all this other stuff. So this is what the mother is teaching the daughter, how to get out here and move and shake down men. So again, we need to change the behavior of how we're doing things on both ends. This struggle mentality that we are teaching, and I understand why we have a struggle mentality in the modern age, because Black people are being gentrified politically and physically in neighborhoods to be pushed out. So I understand the struggle mentality, but the fact of the matter is we got to get out of the struggle mentality and get on with getting over and moving on into society to be successful. We got to start thinking as a successful community. Why women and men, what do they say? They imprint trauma onto themselves that never actually happened to them. Doesn't make sense. They watch a movie or they read a book. Oh, men ain't no good, whatever. All women are hoes and stuff like that. That's not the case. That is not the case in regards to your situation. You know, you got kids in the suburbs that want to be gangsters and they've never even seen a real gangster. We got to stop implementing this fear tactic that we put to make this divide within our community. We just have to grow out of that.
Yep, and in closing, I'm going to say this. Yeah, I'm not one of those women that would teach my daughter, never taught my daughter any unscrupulous things to shake men down and all that other stuff. I've been taught from my mother and my father. God bless the child as God is own. So I taught my daughter the same thing. You get with a man that y'all want to put something together. He wants to take care of you. You be appreciative of that. As long as he's taking care of you and treating you right. If he's not doing that, then you need to think of other things. But I don't think any woman should ever, think that she need to do technology with a man. But I'm gonna come back to this. Men, stop being the mark to be shut down. That's like if I know I'm gonna walk down an alley and I know there's somebody down there that's gonna stick a knife or a gun in my back, I'm not taking my ass down the alley. It's just that simple. Stop putting yourself, and that's what I said, a mark, a buster, or whatever. Stop putting yourself in a position to be shaken down. It's just that simple. Now I know sometimes you do everything you can to make sure it don't happen, but that ain't the norm. That, I crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. A lot of y'all just jump head first. And when I say head, I mean the one that's below your belt. Okay. Y'all jump in head first and cry about the circumstances. Like I said, move as though all women you deal with are shady, just the worst, until she proves to you she is not. Now, I'm not saying treat her bad, but I am saying raise your eyebrow. When she talking and she walking and she shaking that big old caboose, you got to get her to verify that she can back all that up. Otherwise, you're gonna be, caught up in the child support system, bald head and all kind of stuff because your head and fell out, and it just, you know what I mean. It could be so simple. That's why I had these conversations with my young nephew. He's 15. Like, let's talk about it. Get yourself together. Go get all you need to go get. And then you decide which woman you want to be with, but you vet her fully. You don't just jump into some poo nanny because it is talking good and it's walking good. She need to verify that, buddy. So anyway, we love and appreciate y'all. We'll be back here later on at 5 p.m. Central Time. I think I have a pretty good topic. I'm actually open up the link this time, unless something else pops off that we need to talk about. But I'm just gonna take it easy. I'm gonna ask you guys a simple question. That's something that happened recently. I'm gonna allow people to come on for a good minute to say, to answer the question. I'm gonna click you back down and all that. But of course, we'll get into that at 5 p.m. Central Time. So in the meantime, you guys have a great rest of your day. And if you do see fit, you can help the channel by any way you can down there. Now, please like and subscribe and all that other stuff. We'll see you later. Peace.